Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be an interesting journey. As you can see, these are the topics I'm trying to cover. I'm trying to cover Vite, Vue JS with TypeScript, Pinia, Vitest, Supabase or Firebase, haven't decided yet, and then form validation. And I'm going to create a multi-step wizard. If you follow my channel, I've done one in React. Yes, I did it in React, and I did it in React Native. And then I'm still playing around with some Vue content, so I said, hey, let me try it with Vue. I haven't done anything with Pinia in a while, and I certainly haven't done anything with Vitest. So it'd be interesting to implement Vitest, implement testing my Pinia store while working on a pretty simple, I don't want to say simple, but a very common use case of a multi-step wizard for onboarding users and things like that. So this is what we're trying to build. You can see we have our step one. We enter our information. We have form validation, so it's not going to let me move to the next form because birthday is a required field. So I need to enter my birthday. Then it'll let me move forward. If I go back, you can see it's kept track of the values that I entered previously. So I can move forward. Validation still here, password required, so I enter a password field. Next page. On this page, we're going to allow you to upload an image, associate, but remember, I'm keeping track in my store. Let's open up my store. In our store, we're keeping track of the state. We have our state object. Then inside of there, we have our form data, which is information, email, password, all the other stuff. And then we have form errors, but I don't think we need this. And we keep track of the step. And you can see as we move along. So if I go to the next page, my step is updated. I have the information here. I can choose a file to upload. File has been selected, but it's not saved. Nothing gets saved into the actual store until I click the next. And then you can see we have the file information and the name of the file that was here because we're on the final summary page, and this is all the stuff in the store. But once again, since everything's in the store, I can move back through my state and see what the information is, make updates to it if necessary. So next. Just change the first name and then just continue back on till we get back to the summary page and take whatever action. So this is what we're working on building. Stick with me through the whole series and hopefully you'll learn something that you'll find helpful in the next project that you're working on. I don't know how I'm going to do this because it's probably going to get pretty long pretty quickly. So I'll probably see where I am after 30 minutes and then I'll chop the video after 30, 40 minutes and post that, and then I'll continue on with the rest. And hopefully we'll get through this. And along the way, if there's things that you would like to see added or removed from the video, well, not removed, but other topics covered or something that you thought I missed in the first part, just leave a comment and maybe I can pick it up in the second and third parts of the video. All right, so I'm going to do this pretty much slow and methodical, and I'm going to just start right from the beginning with all the commands. So please make sure you like and subscribe, share with your friends, and let's get to the code. Okay, welcome back. Let's get this started. And I have all the websites open that kind of show what I'm going to be using to get everything going. So first of all, we're going to start with Vite. And if you take a look here, let's see. It's got to have a guide. Let's hop to the guide here and getting started. And we are going to do Vue TypeScript. Oh, I don't want to look at the template. I actually want to get started, so we're going to follow along here. Template, view, and let's see. Let's go to this create. I don't want to go there either. So let's just start off with this. I don't do PNPM. But here we go on the site, we're going to scaffold our first project, and let's just take this npm create latest, let's copy this and go back to the start, and let's make, and we're going to call this Vite Vue project. Let's cd into that, and then here we'll do the command. So we're going to just kind of step through each one of the command prompts. And we're going to just, we can call this Vite project. We're going to say Vue. We're going to say TypeScript. And so now let's cd Vite project. And we're in the project. And now let's do our npm install. And we have that installed. And let's just, first of all, let's open this up in Visual Studio Code. All right, so this looks like it's set up at a pretty decent size. And we have our package JSON and everything should be good. But if you recall, we wanted to add some other stuff to our project. So let's take a look here and see what we have. So we want to add Vitest. So let's just get everything installed that we need installed. And then let's go back to our prompt and let's install Vitest. And while that's installing, see, is there anything else we need from here? I think, yeah, I want the UI. So let's install that. And that's done. And then let's go back because we want to get Pinia. Let's go to get started there. And where's my npm install? Getting started, npm install. And then we know we are going to do some testing. So let's go down here to this testing. And I know I need to install something. Here we go. For our testing Pinia. So let's get that in there. Okay. And I think we have everything that we need installed. Now I noticed there's some additional configuration that I need to do for testing. So let's go in here and see. Getting started. I think that we should be good to go. Let me just add these to my package JSON. And let's just make sure that we have this working. So let's look at a simple test. This is a basic test. We want a test that's going to test our Vue component getting mounted. So did I have anything? We just want to do a simple Vue test. So let's take a look at how it's configured by looking at the example. So we're going to copy we're just going to copy this whole config. Let's go back. Well, now let's go to our test and let's see. We just want a basic component test. So this is what we have here, and it's using the hello Vue. So we'll just copy this whole basic test, and we'll come over here. Where do they put their tests? They put their test. We'll put it inside a source. So I realized that I needed to install JSON DOM and Vitest utils. And I recognized that because I looked at what's inside the package JSON inside of here, and I realized that these files are needed. So that's what we're doing now. So we're going back over here. Let's use this test that is already written. Let's copy this test, drop it in here in basic tests. Let's make sure we import the component. It's hello world Vue. And then we now need Vitest, so import. And let's import everything. Test, expect. And that seems to get everything. And we're going to delete all this other stuff. All we want to do is just make sure that the component mounts and that we have the text, which is our message. And we'll set our message. And then we'll put it in here. Let's bring up our terminal. So I'm not sure why I have this error. npm text. Oh, it has a message. Oh, it's message. Well, let me fix that. Let's see if I get different results. There we go. Waiting for file change, and it passed. So my testing is working correctly because it got the test message, and I know that it's loaded. So now I know I have testing configured appropriately. So that's what I wanted to do, because we're going to, as we write some more of our, as we write more of this application, we're going to put some tests in as we move along. And now let's do the last thing, which is actually make sure the application is running. So let's open up another terminal, and we have our command in here, which is npm run dev. And our app is up and running, and we know it's good. So a couple of things that we can do is, we know we're going to remove hello world, and like I said, the idea that we're going to do is we're trying to create a multi-page wizard. And so let's just start to lay out a couple of things that we know we're going to want. So the idea is that we are going to create a wizard, and then that wizard is going to display each one of the separate components. And so what we're going to do inside of here is, let's copy this. For now, we'll just do 2 pages, and then the summary. So let's rename this. And that's the summary. We'll rename this to, and rename this. Right? And so then inside of here, we're going to have a wizard step 2. Where's my, wizard RARD summary. Let's just let it. And then our wizard step 1. And then let's import everything. These imports belong inside of our script. So let's go down inside of script tag. Okay, and then let's save. Let's actually put something inside of all these. So for now, let's just put a h2 main wizard. Oh, where did I put the? I put all of this stuff in. This is not being step 2. This all belongs in the root wizard. And step 2 should be just h2 step 2. And then we can copy this for step 1, and wizard, step 1, step 2, summary, step 1, wizard summary, and then let's do this. Summary. Let's save that. Let's go to, and let's drop here into our app view, take all of this out, and just put our wizard in here. Move this, and we're going to remove all of our styles because we'll put our own styles in eventually. Let's see what we got. All right, step 1, step 2, summary. Okay, clearly we don't want them all to show at once. So let's just put some simple ifs in there. So we're going to go into our wizard, and we're going to say, and we're just going to wrap each one with an if. As you can see, steps undefined. So let's just make sure that everything's working here. Let's say const step ref number, and we're going to start it at 1. Let's import ref. Okay. Okay, so you can see we're on step 1. But what we want to do is we clearly want to be able to move back and forth. So let's go into our wizard. And once again, we're not shooting for pretty quite yet. So here, on step 1, you can only go forward, right? So I don't need any of the buttons. But on the other ones, so let's go here and let's go to wizard step 1, wizard step 2. On step 2, we can go back. IOUS, previous. And then on step 3, which is the summary, you can go back, or we're going to say create account. So if I go back to my app, I'm on step 1, but what I need some action for every time I click the button. I need this thing to move back and forth, right? So this is where we're going to create a simple store. So let's come in here, and we'll just put it right here at the root, and we'll say we're going to create a store. And since the whole idea is just follow directions that we're getting from the websites, let's go to the Pinia page, and we're going to go to defining a store, and we are going to not use an option store. We are going to use setup store, and we're just going to copy this code, and let's go back and let's drop it in here. And this is not going to be a counter store. It's going to be a wizard store. So we're going to call this use wizard store, and we'll call this wizard store. Let's do, trying to think how I want to manage this. So actually, for now, let's just do step is a ref. We don't need computed. We don't need Eduardo. And so we're going to initialize it at 1. And then we're going to say next step. And then we're just going to increment the step value up, and then previous step. And we're going to decrement. And then we're just going to return our functions. So we're going to return step. We're going to return next step. And we're going to return previous step. And then let's get our define store. And define store, I believe that comes from import from Pinia. So we should have our basic store there. And what we can also do is we can take a look. Where's my app? So we can open this up and we can take a look at the Vue Dev Tools, which I have installed. And if I click on my Vue Dev Tools, and it's loading up the app. Oh, I haven't set up Pinia for the rest of it. So I just defined it, but I didn't kind of connect it to my app, which is what I need to do here. So let's actually, you know what? Let's just copy this. Main TS. Our main. It looks like everything is the same. So, and let's just explain kind of what's going on here. So you need to create your Pinia, and then you're basically connecting, you're telling your app to use Pinia. After you create it, you assign it here, and now your app will use it. And so now when we take a look at the DevTools, you should see something interesting there. I think maybe because I haven't used it yet. So let's go back to our documentation, and we define a store. We have our state. This is one way to set up your state. We are going to eventually switch this to TypeScript, but we want to use so we need to actually use our state. And so the way you do it is here. You can see how you set up the store. All of these values here, this const count, name, double count, these are all going to be exposed, and you can act upon them. And they are reactive, so they will update when they are appropriate. And so each one of these are like your state, and then these functions are like your actions, right? And so to use it, if we follow this example, you have to use the use counter store. But our example, our store is called, what did I call it? Store, use wizard store. So we go back to our step 1, and inside of here, we say const store equals use wizard store. And if you hover over this, you will see that it gives us access to, that's our state right there, which step we're on, and then the 2 functions to go forward and backwards. Okay? And so now that store is defined here, that means we have access to it up here. And so what that means is I can say, click store.next step, and it will execute that function. And so now let's go back to I need to tell my wizard also to use the store. So let's go to our wizard. We don't need this reference anymore because the value that we'll get from our store is a reference. So I can just come up here and say store dot step and move this down here. And then now if I go back, I see it's moving to steps. Oh, I gotta add my function to those buttons too. So I did it for step 1. Let's put it on step 2. And let's add our functions. Click. We are a store dot, and this is next, so that's next step. And then this is previous. So I should take it backwards. And let's format that. And then let's take our buttons finally to our, so that's step 2, to our summary. And we'll just go over this. And previous, let's get our store. And summary, replace our store. And then the previous step. For next step, we'll just leave nothing right now because there's no place to go. But let's kind of go back to our code and see what we got. So we're in step 2, previous, go to step 1, next, next, and then on my summary, and then I can go back to step 2 and I can go back to step 1. And you can, let's see if I have my, so you can see down at the bottom, here's our Pinia. Our store is down here, and it's tracking our state. And so you can see as I go back and forth, our state is getting updated. And we're going to use this same approach of managing information inside of our store to keep track of the information that we want for our onboarding. So the idea is that we'll have multiple input fields and we will store the information inside of our store. So right now we just have our step, but what we're going to do is we're going to go like this. Const, I believe this is what I'm going to do. So they say count info, right? And then I think we can do reactive. And then we will keep it simple. And we will have first name. So basically what I'm doing is these are the values that we're going to have in our store. The last name, email address, and then we'll do a birthday. And then I forgot we actually don't need a password since we're trying to create an account. Okay. And then what'll happen is format, what do I call that? Account info. So now when we go back to Pinia here and we see, you can see that we have all this information that we're going to be keeping track of in our state. We're going to have our account information and then we're going to keep track of our step. And then what we'll do is as we move through each one of the forms, we will store the information here inside of Pinia. Let's do one last thing before we go. Let's see if we can get a simple test in here for Pinia, since we're really going to try and do some testing here. So this one's test amount component. This one will be called, maybe we'll move them later, but for now, let's just keep them together. Then always just make it async just in case. Should probably bunch these together. Actually, I'm going to have to wrap this because of the way we need to set it up. So let's change this a bit. Pinia tests, and then do this, then set this up like that. And then what we'll do is we're going to test Pinia next. It looks like, and then we'll have another test Pinia prev step. previous step. And let's format this. And let's take a look inside the Pinia documentation on how to define a store and test it. So we'll come on down here to testing, and we want to unit test a store. And so here's kind of the approach. So we need to import this Pinia, set the active Pinia, and also we're going to have to import our store. So let's copy this and go back to our code and go down here. And import it, and we don't want this, we want use wizard store. I believe that's what it's called, from store. Okay, so we need our wizard store. And then, according to the documentation, before each one, we want to make sure we get a fresh store. So let's copy the before each, and put it inside our description here. And let's import for each from Vitest, and then we will test our store. And it's interesting. It's pretty much like what they're doing with the increment and decrement, because we're just keeping track of state. But as we get more complicated and we keep the user information side of the store, we'll add to our tests. So let's just come here and let's drop this in, and it says it's it or test work. So let's say test. And then what we want to do is we want to use wizard store. And we're just going, so at start, we expect our store step to be, actually, we default ours to 1, right? So let's just check. Here's our store. Yeah, we default our step to 1. So let's go back to our test. So when we start off, we expect it to be 1. Then we're going to call our store. And this one is called, this one we're going to test next. Store, next step. Sorry, my bad. And then after the next step, then it should be 2. And then we're going to do the same thing with our previous, why is there description tests? This does not belong there. This does not belong there. Thank you. And then for the next test, we're going to test the previous. Let's copy this. Let's go down in here. And we use the store again. And then this time, the store step, we expect to be 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it forward with our next step. And then we expect it to be 2. And then we're going to call our previous, and then we expect it to be 1. Store, previous step, and then we expect this to be 1. And these have all been running in the background. Let's just switch over here. So it says one of them failed. Which one failed? Oh, I missed my... So this one, store, starts as 1. After next step, it should be 2. And so now my tests have all passed. There's another tool that I saw that, let me just open this, and I don't know if I downloaded it. Where is this package? JSON, Vitest. No, I didn't. It's called Vitest UI. So let's see if we can get that. And go back here. That's Vitest. Vitest UI provides this nice user interface. So let's install this. And then this is how you run it. And so I'm going to go in here and just add a script. And so I'm going to add a script and call this test UI. And then just put this command in here. And then down here, call npm run test UI. And then it gives you, let's zoom this one in. It gives you this nice UI of your tests. So I can see here my mount component tests, my Pinia tests, step 1, step 2, It's a module graph of kind of everything it's touching on to execute these tests. And then it actually shows you the code for the tests. So this is actually pretty awesome. And then you can also kind of rerun everything from here. It's got its dark modes you can switch to, or light mode. Just something else that kind of makes the experience of working with these tools a lot better. So we covered a lot. We got our basic flow moving back and forth in the application. We integrated some testing. We integrated a store. And so next we are going to actually put some form fields on here. And the idea is for you to be able to enter information, verify the information if it's valid or not, and move back and forth between the forms, and then finally have a summary page with all the information where we'll then use that to kind of upload the information to the database. So we're going to stop right there. Stay tuned for the next one. Hopefully you found this enjoyable. Please leave comments below. Thanks.